With so many games coming out every year, it's incredibly easy to overlook some hidden gems and some really great games that you might love. There's always going to be the Call of Duties, Resident Evils, and games that are huge that sell millions and millions of copies. But there are some really great games that don't necessarily sell very well, but review well and are really unique and have some really awesome mechanics. I think this year that is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It deserves to have everybody be playing this game. It is a Metroidvania that is incredibly awesome with its art style, with its combat, and with its music. The combat mixes your swords with your bow, and you also have a disc that you can throw and have it return to you like a Captain America style. You also have these amulets that you can equip onto yourself that do different things, like collect currency and time crystals from a distance like you're seeing now, or one that has you resist poison and other things like that. So you can really mix and match your amulets to fit your playstyle and also the environment that you are trying to traverse through. As you're going through these different environments, you'll find different people with different side quests. Some of them are fairly easy to complete, while others may be a little bit more involved, taking you on a journey throughout the game. You'll find them in different areas, and you'll find different pieces that they're looking for throughout the entire game. And it kind of wraps up these little mini stories from different people on Mount Koth. You'll also find these feathers throughout the world that give you different abilities, such as leaving behind a crystal shadow, which allows you to solve different puzzles by leaving behind your crystal self, dropping down behind different barriers, and then shooting yourself back up to where that shadow was. It's also super helpful in combat. You can leave it on one side of the arena, go towards the other side of the arena, fight and battle whoever you're fighting, and then if you get trapped, you can launch yourself back over to your shadow and sneak attack from behind. It's a really great way to get yourself out of trouble and make sure that you put yourself in an advantageous position. You'll see that in this boss fight against Kiana. There's multiple different attacks that the boss does that you have to dodge and then attack and wait for your moment to strike. And sometimes it will take up the entire screen and you have to time it just right in order to get yourself back to your shadow to avoid the attacks. One of the coolest parts about the combat is the way you parry attacks. If there's a yellow kind of circle on the screen, you can parry that into a special move. If it's a red circle, you cannot parry it and you're going to have to dodge out of the way and then strike accordingly. There's some really cool boss fights. The art style is absolutely insane in this game. It is incredibly gorgeous. The environments are varied. There's anything from the sewers, which are poison, to a shipwreck with these deep dark blues, to a forest that is more greens and oranges, browns and reds. It's a really, really cool game that has you going through these different environments, and it is so fun to traverse through. One of the downsides, though, is nothing about this game in terms of its movement, in terms of its traversal abilities and the environments that you go through. Nothing's super difficult. You'll find yourself getting through most of these environments on the first try, maybe a second or third time. And that was a disappointment for me. As someone who really enjoys tight platforming, difficult, challenging levels, this didn't really have that in the base game. They did add that with DLC, which is super awesome and super fun, but I would have liked to have seen it from the start. And unfortunately, since this team who developed this has been disbanded, I highly doubt we're ever going to get a sequel to this game. And that's a shame, because the groundwork they laid in this game is phenomenal. And I would have loved to see what they could do with the environments, with the combat in a second game. But a highlight of the game is its combat, and specifically the boss battles. There are many different boss battles throughout the entire world, and each one has unique mechanics. It has different move sets, and you really get a taste for what the combat is and what the game has to offer. You're really going to have to use all of your move sets, whether that's just base attacks, using your different abilities, using your special moves, doing all of it in order to get that boss down to its final hit and being able to do a special move like you're seeing right now. It's incredibly fun. You feel like a badass when you complete it, and it's just one of the best feelings in the game, defeating one of those really hard bosses. There are some challenge rooms like this where they'll send out different spikes, and you're going to have to figure out the puzzle in order to get through that room and proceed on to the next portion of the map. None of them are too hard. They're pretty fun, but once you kind of figure out what to do, it doesn't require much skill after that. It's really just kind of piecing that puzzle together, and then you place your shadow crystal in the right spot, call back to it, and you're pretty much done. There are some cool different areas where you will run through 3 different times in one room using yourself, and then it will leave that crystal form and go through the exact path that you just ran. You'll do it a second and then a third time in order to traverse through that, step on different panels to open doors, pull different levers, and get yourself into the next room. Those are easily the coolest ones to do. They are somewhat difficult to figure out, but they require a lot of timing and a lot of dexterity to get through. Some of the movesets you'll get, like this spinning slash, are really, really cool. They add a lot of flair to the game, and that's basically what this game is about, is just, it's looking cool, making sure you feel like a badass, and just oozing style throughout the entire game. It's one of my favorite parts of this game. I wasn't really sold on the 2.5D kind of deal. I prefer 2D games like a Hollow Knight or a Guacamelee or something like that with my Metroidvanias and just side-scrollers in general. Not a huge fan of the 2.5D, but this team made it work really, really nicely. It's beautiful, it's fluid, and it just is super, super colorful, and that's something that I'm always a sucker for. It also has a map that is pretty good. You can go through the map and leave these little eye icons. You basically take a screenshot of a place that you can't get to or a wall you can't break, and you push up on the D-pad, create an image, and then whenever you hover over that image, it will tell you what that image is, and then you can be like, oh yeah, that's right, I needed this item or this mechanic in order to get through that wall or get up to that ledge or whatever the case may be, and that will unlock new areas. And it's pretty satisfying when you do that super early in the game, forget all about it, and then 5-6 hours later you get that ability. You go around the map and you look and see, what is that? Oh, that's right. And then you are able to go back and open that up. It's a really cool feeling. It's really fun, and it's a really unique mechanic to me. You can also buy maps, which will reveal where different treasures and things are around the map. There's a lot of arena battles like this where they'll just send wave after wave after wave of enemy at you. And these are some of my favorite moments in the game. They like to send a lot of unique combinations of enemies at you, really testing your reflexes, really testing your knowledge of your specials and your amulets, and really trying to make it a difficult fight. There are some difficult, challenging platforming aspects, but again, those are pretty few and far between. This is one of them. It is a side quest where you're trying to get these golden orbs while avoiding all the spikes. It's super fun. This is more what I was looking for in the base game. Unfortunately, they didn't have too many things like this. But if you are looking for that challenge, I do recommend the DLC. They came out with some story DLC as well, which I have not played yet, but am looking forward to trying. But yeah, that's pretty much the game. I highly, highly recommend this, especially if you like 2D platformers, Metroidvanias. This is definitely a game worth checking out. If those have never been your jam, I still recommend trying it out. The combat itself is super fun and worth the price alone. But those are just my thoughts. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Please like and subscribe. If this is your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. And I'll see you guys in the next one.